listening to Conversations with a Citizen.
Hello, and welcome to another week of Get Your House in Order. I'm your host, Bren Sheriff. The information provided on this podcast is not intended to be legal advice, but to inform you of the importance of getting your house in order by making a plan that will establish and protect your legacy. We encourage you to seek a professional who can speak to your individual situation. If you need help with anything discussed during this podcast, you can call me at 773-817-0601. On today's show, we will be varying from the normal discussions that we have on estate planning and succession planning. We have a very special guest, famed star of both stage and screen, the one and only, unbeatable, irrepeatable, Jerald Gary. For many of you that don't know Jerald Gary happens to be the owner of the soon-to-be restored Regal Theater, formerly the Avalon Park Theater. He is chairman and founder of Community Capital and also chairman and founder of the Art Foundation, which I thought was very innovative and creative that he attributes that name. ART is an acronym, and it stands for Avalon Regal Theater. I believe your father was the brainchild of that.
He was.
Wonderful.
I can't take credit for that.
Well, acorns don't fall far from the tree. I never got to meet your father, but I know that history is, as they say, who he is, you are, and the same
indeed.
with your darling mom.
Absolutely.
Tell me, how did you come to, and he was grown, but he was barely grown when he got that idea. And it's been, about 10 years? How long ago was that?
Oh boy, it's going on 14 years actually.
14 years.
Yep.
How time passes when you're having fun.
Absolutely, yes.
He was barely grown when he got the idea to take on this monumental task of taking a historic, very unique architectural theater in Chicago and bringing the ambience back and bringing the history of the now destroyed or razed Regal Theater.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about?
Well, that's a good question. I think part of it is seeing the block and surrounding community fall into such a state of disrepair as a result of that single building closing. And at the time, I was already, as you know, having closed my first real estate deal in my early 20s. I was investing in residential real estate at the time in the area, and I saw an opportunity to extend my investment thesis into the commercial realm as to complement the investment activity I was trying to spur in the residential housing stock in the neighborhood. And in my early 20s, I had set up an investment fund to invest in basically 2 flats and 4 flats because I saw a shift in the market whereby people who initially were owner occupants of these kinds of buildings, the demographic and the market dynamics shifted to the point where a lot of folks living in the neighborhood were no longer able to afford buying where they live. So the fund was created to help facilitate that kind of activity in terms of home ownership, as well as providing affordable housing with an investment vehicle that was set up to invest responsibly in the neighborhood while also making a profit. And that grew into a private equity firm, and around the time I created that firm, I said, well, the Regal Theater is up for sale, and I think that really could be a poster child on how investing in the arts and investing in historic preservation of sort of adaptive reuse ideas, or even just reopening a building and a business with access to capital required to sustain the property. And in my mind, I'm sort of playing with Legos in a sandbox, trying to create this ecosystem whereby someone can be an usher at the theater and make enough money to go to the Regal Bank that is a co-op owned by the community and get a mortgage for their 2-flat across the street. So that, I guess, sort of in a roundabout way is an answer as to why I thought the Regal was an important investment to make, because I really think it can be again the poster child for not just how the arts can spur development in a community, but how a community can turn inside onto itself to produce the capital necessary to increase wealth in the neighborhood.
I think that's a wonderful idea, and it reminds me of building communities. And that's what you're saying. The Regal can be the center and the impetus, if you will, for other development, very similar to what they have talked about with the Obama Presidential Center. These are things that we as a community need to take what we have in place and make what it is that we need.
Yes.
George Pullman did something like that. You indicated that an usher at the Regal Theater, when it opens, would have the ability to use that income and live within that
That's right.
community.
Absolutely.
Because of the investors that have come in that make that housing affordable. Hey, it's a win-win situation.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a win-win situation. I have not been in the Regal Theater for quite a while, and I know that you are busy doing things to make it happen. And one of the reasons that I've invited you here today, I heard a little buzz that not only is the Obama Presidential Center opening tomorrow, but that you are going to have a Juneteenth celebration.
That's right.
So all of you that are out there that plan to attend the Obama, come on down to the Regal.
Yes.
As they say, you're going to be celebrating Juneteenth. Tell me something about that celebration.
Yeah, so we like to do events from time to time at the theater in the parking lot. Of course, we're not open to public occupancy at this time, and anything we do inside of the property is restricted to private filming or promotional or marketing pieces that we produce, and any other content that we're working on right now. But with all of that being said, our Juneteenth event is taking place in the parking lot on June 19th. From about 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. And the goal really with this is to give the youth a creative outlet. We'll be doing it right in front of that beautiful, vibrant Calvin Jones mural, and we're having a friendly competition of West Side versus South Side. We're doing an Uncle Remus chicken versus Harold's chicken battle, and we've got some dance teams from the South Side and the West Side that are gonna go up against each other in the spirit of friendly competition, and really just creating an environment to foster creativity and giving the youth something to do where they have an outlet to express themselves and not be downtown doing teen takeovers. Coincidentally enough, we are calling this the Juneteenth Family Teen Takeover, because we do want to capture that crowd and expose them to something positive. And a lot of the youth are really into social media and producing videos, and we're trying to encourage that kind of activity at our event on Friday the 19th.
I heard you mention that part of this celebration designed for the teens will be some dancing, and that you're going to have in dancing groups. Will there be like loud music, speaker music, so that people can dance, not only the performers?
Yes.
So
we will have a DJ, absolutely.
You got some step and stuff, and got a little house music
Absolutely,
going on
yes,
up there.
indeed, yes. We'll be playing all genres.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I know that it has not been an easy task. 14 years. I know you've lived every one of those days. I've been off on the side,
Every single one.
yeah, and not actively involved. At this point in time, you have developed this idea to where, and what do we see going forward?
That's a very good question. So it's been obviously a labor of love, but the most difficult part about this project has been trying to grasp what the redevelopment budget is, and as discovery occurs in the development of that budget, sort of chasing after, or rather running away from, the continued depreciation of the property. And we were able to assemble a crack team that we put together about 3 years ago. There's another building called the Regal Theater that was recently reopened in the Bridgeport community, and our architects and engineers were responsible for that project. And much of our team, we've been working with sort of behind the scenes to stabilize the property even before the Remova was a thought. But we're fortunate to be in a position now where we have grasped the amount that is going to be required to bring the building back to its former glory and reopen to the public. And to that end, we've completed a great deal of stabilization measures to keep the property development ready. And we were fortunate enough to finally get the property out of building court. I had to take on a building court case when I purchased the property in 2014. We were adjoined to the building court case that had various violations from previous ownership. So we were able to, over probably a 10-year or so period, correct all of those violations to get the property in a state where it is development ready now, and we're just about ready to start work on the inside. The only step that is between us beginning, hitting the dirt, if you will, is getting listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And that's probably a 6 or so month process that will enable us to have access to what's called historic tax credit equity, both at the federal and the state level. And that represents a substantial portion of our budget. Right now, we're looking at about $20 to $25 million to reopen both the grand hall of the building as well as the auditorium. And that's split evenly just about between the two, with, of course, the systems of the property being addressed in that first phase, which will result in the opening of the grand hall, I'd say, optimistically by 2027, maybe Q3, Q4, maybe the winter of next year, with the auditorium coming online shortly thereafter, maybe about 12 months following in 2028. As I said, our 20 to 25 million budget consists of, I'd say, anywhere from 20 to 30% of those historic tax credits that we'll have access to once we're listed on the National Register, because that is the number one precursor you need to have if you're going to be able to leverage that kind of equity into the capital stack of the project. And of course, we've got some commitments coming in from the city as well. We're in the due diligence stage with a fairly large grant that will supplement any funds we raise from the private market. And as you mentioned earlier, the Art Foundation is our nonprofit we've set up to help raise additional capital for the development to keep things going.
You know, it surprises me with the architectural uniqueness of the formerly known Avalon Theater that it does not have the historic designation. I would have thought that would have happened.
Well, it is a Chicago landmark. It was landmarked in 1992.
But not a historical.
But
and they are
it is
distinct.
not on the National Register. Correct.
Wow, and I thought it was. How about that building that is just west of you on Stony Island?
Yes.
Does that have the historical designation?
It does not, and actually that was designed, if you can believe it, by another architect.
Really? They look so similar.
Yes. So the story behind that building is that it was built in 1928, just after the Avalon opened in 1927, and it was functioning at that time as sort of a banquet hall, somewhere you'd go and get dinner, and there'd be an orchestra there and a dance floor, and it was sort of
Like a
the
supper
dinner,
club.
the dinner of the sort of like that dinner and a show before the big show, and then you go across the street to the Avalon where you see, you know, a vaudeville piece with hundreds of dancers and a full orchestra and the movie screen, and
Yes.
you know, just an extravaganza. So that's a different architect, different function, and I believe the church, Haven of Rest, is owner of the property, and they're trying to raise funds for that to get it back open and functioning.
And I always thought, you know what I kind of thought that might have been at one point in time? The powerhouse for the theater.
You know, I used to think that actually too.
I
said,
really,
boy, that's a fancy powerhouse.
I really did think that.
That's
because
funny.
I didn't know the history behind it, and it looked so similar. I said, well, this must have been the powerhouse.
Yeah.
I didn't see the water tower. I mean, I didn't see the things that normally of that genre that would have been there. But I said, well, they may have torn it down. They got the skyway running over it. You can't have a water tower. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people see the Regal from the skyway and they think it's a mosque.
Okay.
You know, and
Okay.
they think it's a church or something. I passed that for years. I thought it was a mosque.
Exactly.
It's a theater.
Exactly. Well, I'm glad that we're getting to the skinny
Yes.
on some of these things to push them aside. The theater as a cultural icon, the Regal,
Yes.
with all of the memories of those of us that were able to attend those $1.25, $2.50 stage shows where you were there for 2 or 3 hours. You know, as I say, the best bang for your bucks.
Yes.
Give me an idea of what it is that once this comes into fruition, all of the spazzle and dazzle is restored. What can we as the community expect to experience and enjoy?
Well, that's also a very good question, and it's a multifaceted answer, because one of the things that I took under consideration prior to purchasing the building was the legacy of the brand. And we can sit up here and book shows day and night because we all know how beloved the Regal is in the community, and the emphasis in terms of the business model and the operations isn't so much on the shows because the demand is there. We're in a different day and age in terms of the entertainment industry, where mid-sized venues, which is what the Regal is, are very profitable because of the acts that are touring. Artists are making a lot more money off of touring than they are in their contracts that they do with the record labels. So, you know, it's a different environment than it was back in the late 80s and the 90s when the Gardner family had it. But we'll be looking to do the same kind of cultural programming that they did, and we'll be looking to have the commercial operations side of the building defray the costs for nonprofits or other cultural organizations which already exist in the community that need access to a venue like the theater. And to that end, they'll be able to pay lower rates to rent the Regal for, be it concerts or rehearsals or anything else for their constituency. And that frankly helps us diversify the programming of the theater, bringing all of those various constituencies into the building, because that's where they're rehearsing or that's where they're doing their annual show. And obviously we'll be doing all kinds of things in the auditorium and the grand hall, such as stepper sets. We're thinking about putting a cafe in the lobby hall for the seniors during the day to watch matinees and have a croissant with some cafe, and maybe doing even some workout classes and yoga. You know, a lot of different things, really keeping the lights on in the property as much as we possibly can in terms of activity. And obviously we'll have the bigger ticket concerts, but I think the focus on, you know, making the property available to the community and, you know, having that community demand service with a commercial business model, and to that end, we've extended the operating thesis beyond just doing shows to creating content, which is probably going to be immensely more profitable than taking a risk on any given production, because you create content out of thin air, right? So to that end, we've set up a record company, a production company to start to produce that kind of content across social media platforms and genres, and really begin to build up a library that leverages the brand name of the Regal to do exactly what the Regal has always done, which is break talent. Everybody from Tyler Perry to Bernie Mac, and even I recently learned, I haven't seen it yet, but we're in the beginning of Robin Harris, of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I think he did his last show at the Regal. Mm-hmm. And countless others, even the Jackson 5 at the original Regal. But as I said, it's an iconic brand, it's an iconic legacy, and it's the Regal.
One of the things when you first shared this idea with me 14 years ago, wow.
Yeah, it's a long time.
I had thought of the richness of Chicago's history as a film capital. Chicago was the film capital,
yes,
prior to Hollywood.
That's right.
And one of the gentlemen, I think I'd shared with you his name, Michaud.
Oscar Michaud.
Oscar Michaud. Right. And are you going to have, like in that grand hall, any things that might be historical in that way? And this is why I say that. As a place for, and I always think this way, keep the money rolling, know how to do that, for school children to come as a tour in that grand hall, a museum, if you will, of, you could have little videos now, they've got the monitors, you can do any number of things to talk about African Americans. And because the Regal Theater was originally a movie theater,
that's right,
and it morphed into movie with a stage show, to give that the film side,
absolutely,
for and that's revenue for you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And talking about building brands. When a child starts something when they're younger, they might continue to do, so you're building your future. There you go.
Yes,
there you go.
Yes,
there
absolutely.
You go.
And I'm glad you said that, because one of my main focuses with this project is to create vocational opportunities for people in the community to go into the entertainment industry and not just be in front of the curtain and camera, but also behind the curtain and camera. And there are countless opportunities for different career paths, and I think the Regal can really position itself well in the community as you said earlier, a pipeline for those various career paths. And to that end, yes, selfishly, we'd love to train our own artists and our own staff at the building and equip them with the skills that they could take elsewhere should they choose to go elsewhere. And frankly, that's what we would hope to do, turn it into an engine where there are vocational training opportunities, not just on the creative side, but also on the technical side. And I think the activity in the building will be such that we can offer that to people who want it.
And that brings me to the business of the business. Having the insight and the foresight of how careers can be developed in areas that, you know, you had to be a starving artist rather than actually applying your talent and doing things.
Right.
My thought is the potential of workforce development.
Yes.
And with the idea of having the affordable homes. You've got, and this is something that is just coming out now. I'm hoping to have CAP, community, I can't remember, I know the acronym is CAP. They are building a workforce development that's a dormitory where they will have people literally, it's like a college campus. And I'm seeing some of your students, if you were, or some of the individuals that would become a part of yours, that they would be students at the various, I don't know what film schools. I know Northwestern has a theater program. I don't know how deep it is into film, but getting those kind of people in that so that they have a place to show. I can see film festivals.
Yes.
You know, I'm so excited. I don't know what to do. And the thing that concerns me is, as you know, I've got some other thoughts or plans that do not necessarily keep me here in Chicago. But hey, as long as planes fly,
Yes,
I can come back.
that's right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So tomorrow, from you said 2
From 12 p.m.
from 12 p.m.
to 4
to 8.
p.m.
Oh, 4
That's-
p.m.
That's
Okay.
correct.
From
I'm
12.
sorry, it is. You're right. It is from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, from
Yes.
12 p.m. Hey, we'll
That's
get it. We'll get it.
Yeah, I'm going to be working a long
As they
time,
say,
so I think I want to leave at 4, but I got to stay for 4 more hours.
As they say, writing makes it the
Yes,
exact
yes.
person. I should have written it down.
That's right. Yes, from 12
So-
to 8.
And give
on
the
June 19th.
address for those people that may
Yes.
not know the
Of course,
address.
yes. The address is 1645 East 79th Street. That's just off of 79th and East End, and we will be in the parking lot having a good old time all day.
Okay, and East End is 1 or 2 blocks east of Stony Island.
That's correct.
So if they're on public transportation, you've got excellent connectivity
That's right.
with either the Stony Island
That's
or
right.
the 79th Street
If it ever
bus.
decides to come, the 28 is notorious.
Well,
when they feel like it.
we're gonna hope for the best.
Yes.
And I think that, and is the 28th the 79th Street
The
bus?
28 is the Stony Island
Oh,
bus.
it's going to be
excellent,
running.
excellent
It's-
connectivity. Oh yes,
it's
of
going
course,
to be
surely
running
that day.
because,
I think
as
so.
they say, there's going to be something just a little
Yeah,
bit north
I
of
think
you
so. I
that
think
they're
so.
going to make sure they'll probably have them hot and cold running.
Yeah. Yes, everything I think is going to be working very well
28,
on the
they don't
19th.
say, I never knew there were that many buses on this line. Yeah. Well, it has been a pleasure, Gary, and
Terrific.
I applaud you for your tenacity.
Thank you.
I applaud you for your vision.
Thank you.
And I applaud you for coming away from the work that you're doing over there today to come and be on the show.
Oh, the pleasure is mine, Bren,
Yes.
and thank you for being my greatest mentor.
Is there any website or something
Yes.
that people, if they want to donate either to art or to community
Yes,
capital?
absolutely. We are accepting contributions to the Art Foundation, which is a registered 501c3. Our website is avalonregal.com. And to make a contribution, you can go to www.avalonregal.com/support.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We have had the fame star, both stage and screen, my mentee,
Yes, that's right.
Mr. Jerald Gary, with us as guest, giving us some insight on what is happening at the Regal Theater, specifically for us to celebrate our heritage of Juneteenth tomorrow. Until next week.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen, the place where real